Okay, we're going to talk about some further equations that we can get into quadratic form so we can apply quadratic methods to solve them. Right, remember quadratic form is any equation that we can get into this form here. Right, as long as u is some sort of algebraic expression. So let's look at a further example. Let's suppose I want to solve 18x to the 4 minus 29x squared plus 3 equals 0. Right, now it doesn't apparently look like in this form here, except that if I was to take u is equal to x squared, there's our sort of hint right there, and we know that u squared would be equal to x squared squared, which would be x to the 4. So this would really become 18 u squared minus 29u plus 3 equals 0. So now we have a quadratic form. We can apply our methods to this to look for factors. So we'd look for factors of 18 times 3, which would be 54, that add up to negative 29. Well, I think negative 27 and negative 2 would do the trick. So this would be 18 u squared minus 27u minus 2u plus 3 equals 0. So if I take out a 9u, I'll end up with a 2u take 3. If I take out a negative 1 here, I'll take a 2u take 3 equals 0, which implies I have that 2u take 3 by 9u take 1 equals 0. So 2u take 3 equals 0 implies then that u is equal to 3 halves, and 9u take 1 equals 0 implies that u is equal to 1/9. However, we know that u is actually x squared, so what I have is x squared equals 3 halves. Alright, and next, if I take over here, I have x squared equals 1/9. Now by the square root property, this means that x is going to be equal plus or minus the square root of 1/9, which of course is plus or minus 1/3. That's the easy one. So here this implies that x will be plus or minus the square root of 3 halves, which is plus or minus the square root of 3 over the square root of 2. And of course we would now multiply the top and bottom by the square root of 2, get rid of the radical in the bottom, so I'd end up with plus or minus the square root of 6 over 2. So our solution then will be plus or minus root 6 on 2 and plus or minus 1/3. Alright, so that's how we do that one. Alright, let's look at another one. Let's suppose I want to solve x equals 10x squared minus 24 to the 1/4 power or exponent. Now, of course, the 1/4 exponent means this is the 4th root. To undo a 4th root, we'd actually take the 4th power of both sides. And that would undo the right side, and we'd end up with this. So this implies then that x to the 4 minus 10x plus 24 equals 0. So notice, that's a squared there. Right, notice that we have a similar type to what we had up here. So if I was to use u is equal to x squared, u squared would be x to the 4, just like we had up there. So what we'd have here, of course, is u squared minus 10u plus 24 equals 0. So here we'd be looking for factors of 24, which add up to negative 10. Alright, so factors of 24 that add up to negative 10. So it looks to me like negative 4 and negative 6 would work. So this would be u squared minus 4, u minus 4 and u minus 6 equals 0. So make sure it works, and it does, and so u minus 4 equals 0 implies that u equals 4, and u minus 6 equals 0 implies that u is equal to 6. But remember that u is equal to x squared. So what I have is x squared equals 4, or I have x squared equals 6. Using the square root property, x here is equal to plus or minus 2, or x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 6. Now we'd need to check these, okay, by putting them back into here. And if you check, you'll find that only the positive ones work. Right, so what you do is you put them back up into here, into the original equation, and see if you get it right. And of course you'll find the negative ones don't work, and so the solution will in fact be 2 and the square root of 6. So don't ever forget to actually do the check.